Hello, and welcome back to Let's Hang Out on Indoz TV. I'm Charmaine Thomas. My guest in studio today is someone who isn't new to this environment. He was, in fact, interviewed here 5 years back. He is someone whose work transcends borders and professions. I want to welcome the one and only Mr. Bob Pillai back here at the Indoz TV studio. Bob, welcome back.
Thank you, Shamin.
This is
It's been an
almost
honor. Yeah.
this is almost second home to you. 5 years back, Reena interviewed you right here, except in a different setup. How do you feel coming back here to our beautiful studio?
You know, I do feel like being at home here. It's amazing to be back, and it's good to see Indoz doing amazing things all over the world, and to be part of it tonight or today, depending on when people are watching and listening, is really good. So, and thanks for giving me the invitation to come and share my stories with you.
Bob, if I could put the word dynamic personality, if I could personify that word, I would say it's Bob. So, you've done so much over the years, and today it's hard to talk about what we're going to talk about without giving a little bit of a backdrop into where you've come from. So, if I had to just put it in one question, who is Bob Pillai?
Well, Bob Pillai is someone who really loves to learn. Even now, I would love to learn different industries, different geographical areas, learn from people, old, young, new in their relationships, whatever it may be, people in businesses. So I am very dynamic myself, and I'm glad that you used that word because dynamic.
It's true.
So Bob Pillai is someone who is, if I go back to my early childhood, I was always the kid that wanted to find out things, whether it be a mechanical thing, whether it be a business, either it be cars, motorbikes, whatever it is. Always looking at how it works and find out more. So that's me.
And of course, your work has sort of, you worked in aerospace engineering. Was it aerospace engineering?
Correct. Yep.
And underground civil engineering, like you were just sharing with me earlier, and mentoring and recruitment. I mean, have I missed anything?
And that's the kind of personality I have because when I first came here, I finished my high school. I think we told that story before, which to me, I always wanted to be around aeroplanes. As most of the kids, when you grow up, you want to be around something that they like. I liked aeroplanes. And so back in the 90s, early 90s, I didn't have that opportunity to join the Air Force. So what I did was, it was the second thing, which was architecture. So architecture led me into industrial engineering, industrial technology led me into training in high schools, in TAFE's system, training apprentices as well, which then took me to what I really enjoyed. And this is where the subconscious thing comes into play, right? So when you grow older in your career, whatever you dreamt of actually comes to fruition.
That's very true. That's very true. And I know this is your platform, but I have to share it here. When I was little, I wanted to be a journalist, and I thought I wanted to be on the news. But I think my dad was probably a bit terrified. Maybe he thought I'd be going to war-torn regions and, something like that. And he's like, no, it's not safe. Yeah. Right? But I think maybe I just wanted to be on TV. Well, I am kind of now. So it's so funny you mentioned that. It's kind of like life comes a full circle without really realizing sometimes. Yeah. But you kind of consciously you were evolving towards aerospace and engineering and that entire area?
Yep. So, and this is why I normally say our brain is an amazing computer. When you're growing up, there is certain seeds that get planted. It may not fruit then. It might not fruit a little bit later. But as you surround yourself with things that you like, things that you organically tend to, it'll grow those fruits. So remember I said I wanted to be a pilot. or in the Air Force, it led me to aerospace and defense work. And guess what? I learned to be a pilot. So I am not a airline pilot, but for hobbies. And a lot of our clients were in aerospace defense. So I did a lot of flying, but in a different aspect. So this is where this power of subconscious mind
Yes.
is very, very important to actually nature and water. Be around. Don't get frustrated. Just like you. You are a journalist now.
Well, somehow I've ended up being some version of that. I don't think I can say I'm a full-fledged journalist, but anyway. But Bob, talking about everything that your career has taken you through. So very recently you wrote a book as well, Dynamic Business Principles, a 5-step process for your business growth and profitability. I think you should add personality as well because you're so much about that. But how did the motivation to write this book come about?
It's yeah. So that book actually is part of my consulting principles. So it's a collection of the various environment that I worked with, and people, different industries. But a majority of the concept is from aerospace and defense. I did work in a lot of projects in US, and also brought a project over here, which is an F-35 program, as a program manager for Australian Statement of Work. So there was a lot of principles that actually worked with the aerospace and defense industries. Now, there's a lot of people that have a misconception that aerospace and people in the military or the defense force actually manufactures stuff, which is not quite right. The industries surrounding it manufacture and provide the solutions to the aerospace defense. So there's a whole wide world of industries that actually deliver products and services to the defense industries. So I have been in the space for about 15 years, and a lot of those principles would have died with me when I left that industry. So I thought, let's apply this to civilian workplace, because the processes, remember there's two things. I'll ask you, what is the longest trading, longest industry that's been around? It's a defense, right? Because war has been going on since the very first day, Adam and Eve day, if you look at it that way,
Yep.
right? Because that's where it's been going. So there's certain principles that is in there to make sure that those things work.
That's what history is all about.
History is all about. Okay, there's principles behind that. This next one is aerospace. Defense is one thing. Aerospace, one of the biggest things we look at is aerospace is quality and its sustainability. You don't see, well, recently there has been where doors will fly out, but you don't see many broken airplanes parked next to a cloud. You don't. Not that it's possible, but you don't see, because it's checks and balances that we go through, right? So why do we actually hold that in businesses, in people's lives, in people's education system, and so on? So yeah.
I think it's a very interesting perspective, obviously bringing that, and something that you've done years back. But of course, you have ventured your career into so many different directions. But I want to bring you on to one of your more personal adventures, which was your recent, I can't call it hike, should I call it quest, or should I call it expedition, to make it sound very, because it is crazy, right? So you went to Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania recently. How did that come about?
It's, once again, it comes down to breaking barriers, finding your limits, and if I don't do it now, would I look back 10 years down the track to say I should have done it? So I always wanted to break that limit, physical, mental barriers. I'm 52, and for me, it's, life is still young, and you still got a lot of time and energy. And I wanted to see if I'm physically able to do it. Not that I doubted myself, but at the same time, I wanted to do something that I can apply in my business. So and I'll come back to this, my idea was to write a diary every day during this climb to Kilimanjaro and write the experience and get those thought process going on how, but none of those actually eventuated.
Yeah. And was this the first sort of hike that you've done?
Yep.
I can't even call it a hike. Yeah.
Yeah, it,
But
at
first
first
trip of
mountaineering.
its
Yeah,
kind.
well, it's
Yeah.
more like a trekking and mountaineering. It is the first, but once again, I always like climbing just to see what the perspective would be
Yep.
from a different height.
Ah, I like that.
Yeah, so
I
what
like that.
what it be like? Yeah,
But also, no one can just get up and say, "Hey, I'm going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro tomorrow,
Yeah.
or next month and take a flight." You obviously have to train and prepare yourself physically and mentally, and I reckon that's also part of your mental and mindset training, whether it's business or something like that. So, what did you put yourself through to prepare for that climb?
and that's, I think climbing the mountain is just the end result, which is a very small portion. Putting yourself down to say I'm going to do it, and the journey that actually of getting there is where the real work and achievement is. As I mentioned, I wanted to write diaries and plan and so on, but it all came down to when I was training, what are you thinking? Now, it took me 3 months of training. When I said 3 months of training, it's 3 months of commitment to this. I've never slept in a sleeping bag, well, for more than a couple of days, right? So how do you, for someone who's, now this sounds like very basic, but discipline yourself to train that you are not going to have sore shoulders or you can't twist and turn, because sleep is very important, right? So I started sleeping on the bed, wrapped around in doona, pretending that it's a sleeping bag.
Right.
Getting up in the morning and going for a walk with weights on it. So these are the barriers that you have to go through and commit yourself, because a lot of times we say we'll do it, but we don't commit yourself. Once you commit yourself, you'll get it done, because once again, our brain is a very powerful computer.
And you did this for 3 months.
Yes.
Did your wife have anything funny to say about it?
She said you're crazy. Yeah, she said you're
There
crazy.
you go.
Yeah, yeah. I invited a lot of people to come along with me, and a lot of people didn't. Yes, there's commitment and so on. I can understand that, but it's interesting. People only see when you get to the summit,
Yes.
and they say, "I should have come along." So it's that achievement.
I told you so.
I told you so.
It's the biggest "I told you so" moment.
Yeah.
While how long was the climb, Bob?
Yeah. So the climb was the overall climb was 9 days. It took us 6 days to get to the base camp,
Right.
and it took us 15 hours the next day. So that included 5.5 hours of climbing from base camp to the summit, 3.5 hours to come down, have a break, have lunch, and then continue on further till 9:30 at night. So we started at 6:30 in the morning, and the next camp was 9:30 at night. So it was a long day, and then we spent 2 days basically climbing down the mountain to Moshi,
Yes.
lovely little town in Tanzania. The culture was amazing, but the whole concept was building. The first 6 days was mental and physical resilience. I mentioned
When you
about
said climbing to base is 6 days, you
It's 6
kind of think that, oh, well, out of 9 days, you're spending most of your time reaching the peak. But going to base 6 days, are there, any turning points during those 6 days, or any time when you felt low, frustrated, tired, or just wondering, hey, what the hell am I doing here?
Yep. I went through all those emotions and barriers. Remember, I said I'll write diaries. So the first day I forgot. It's like, okay, well, I forgot about doing the diary. I said tomorrow I'll write the diary, and I'll focus and think while I'm walking. I'll focus on what I need to do for my clients, for my businesses, and so on. I thought about it for about 2 minutes, then I said, I can't be thinking of anything else but being in the moment at the time. And I think it sums it up. So even if it was pain, you got to be there in that moment. You could not look up and go, how am I going? I can see that big giant over there. You cannot think of how you're going to get there. I think you've got some experience in Tanzania. There's a word called pole pole.
Pole pole. Slowly, slowly.
Slowly,
Yes.
slowly. Slowly, slowly. And to me, that became the favorite
Pole
word.
pole sana.
Pole pole sana. That's right. Slowly, slowly, one step at a time is how you're going to get to the top. Now, you can apply that in personal life, in relationship, in business, in sporting. You can apply that concept because things do not just happen. If you don't take that one step, you're not going to get there. And if you sit back and think about it, you will never get there. So my thing to everyone or anyone is just take that first step, because that one step closer to what your goal is, what you want to achieve.
Did you find I mean, obviously it's like you've had a very mindful experience even through going through all that physical rigor and toil. When you finally reached the summit, what was the emotion?
It was physically very challenging, especially when you're going from base camp to the summit. So base camp is basically, like I said, 6 days, because your oxygen level drops down. So your body is struggling to actually take oxygen to your brain. So you get to the phase of, do you want to give up or So, but when you get to the top, it's like you deserve it. It's almost like, yep, the proud walk that you do, and you feel like on top of the world. Literally, we did.
You literally are.
Literally, we did. And the interesting thing was, the summit of Kilimanjaro is over 3 layers of clouds. So you can't see it from the bottom, but once you get to the top, you're on top of the world, literally. And so that was the biggest take from me. One step at a time. You can't think of anything else. A lot of people like meditating. I cannot meditate, but I think that was one experience. First time I was ever able to get my mind, body, and soul to connect and work in sync to make it happen.
It's a meditative experience in itself. Being mindful and applying those principles to business is obviously one aspect of it. But Bob, you are a very social person. You're very well known in the community in Brisbane. You do a lot of community work. You support a lot of events, people, and organizations. During your travels, were there any interesting people who you met who perhaps lent you some of their lessons that have impacted you?
Yes, I have. We met people from Canada, US, New Zealand, from WA, even though it's in still same country. Lovely couple from WA as well, and all from different profession. I even took my book, and my roomie. When I say my roomie, my tent buddy, actually ended up reading it, and then the book got passed around within our trip. So we met people who were from Meta, worked at Meta, so picked his brain a little bit. We had people who worked in other defense companies from Canada, and it was really good. People in real estate world, retired people as well. So it was really good, and that's part of spending your boundaries. But I think one of the most interesting part was meeting the locals in Tanzania. It was amazing. I think that experience will always stay with me. How friendly they are, how hardworking they are, and how content they are as well.
Did you eat some amazing local foods?
Yes, I did. Amazing root crops like fried bananas, cassavas.
Cassava, yeah. Cassava is very popular there.
Very popular. And a lot of curries. I did not know that they had
do
curries.
A lot of curries. They have the curry with cassava, I think.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
Goat curry and
Yep. We tried the goat, which was so it was really interesting. But yeah, the whole hospitality was really, even though they didn't have much, the people always were smiling.
Yeah.
So which was really good.
I
So
think like that part of the world is amazing for tourism as well. And it's very different from here because that's a more rustic experience.
yeah,
It's the infrastructure is not like how it's over here, but there's still a certain beauty and appreciation that,
Yeah.
you have coming from this part of the world.
that's right. And you grew up there, or
I-
you experienced a little bit. Yeah.
Yes. I did 4 years of school over there in Dar es Salaam.
Yeah.
Which was, at that time you don't think of it as
Yeah.
anything. You're a kid with your parents.
Yeah.
But I think years later you're like, oh wow, I lived there.
Yeah.
So I would love to go back
Yeah.
someday. So
I think you should. Take your family there, because we did the safari afterwards as a treat after the war,
right.
and it was
that
amazing.
Serengeti you went to?
Serengeti,
Yeah.
and then we spent 2 nights at the tent,
Yep.
those glamping tents,
Right.
and a couple of nights, we can hear the lion literally.
Yeah, I was just going to
like,
ask if you were visited by
outside.
some lions.
Yeah, they were having a feast on the buffalo, but yeah, you literally could hear it. It was like, exciting, but like nervous.
It's another feeling to be in that environment. Like you watch it on Discovery Channel, but when you're in there, you're like, oh,
different.
wow,
Yeah.
it's different. Bob, so lovely to connect with you over travels, work, business, career, so many things. One parting message, because you're full of wisdom. You're almost like a born well-wisher. I don't think you could ever think, something wrong for someone, but just some parting words of wisdom that are just coming to your mind right now. Very open. What would you say to our viewers?
Okay. Well, I'm going to go back to my book, Dynamic Business Principles. There's 5 principles that will make, no matter what you're doing, if you follow those principles, will get you to your end result. And I'll focus on one. The first one is knowing your strength and your development areas. And this is absolutely important. So if you think you're struggling communicating with people, getting the best outcome that you want, my best advice would be know your strength. At the same time, know your development areas, because then you can work on it, or you won't spend energy in your development areas and focus it on what fuels you up. Enjoy your hobby, because that, to me, is equivalent of pulling your car next to a service station and fueling up. That is your hobby, because a car without fuel is not going to go anywhere. And if you are emphasizing a lot more on your development areas, not your strength, you are going to get drained very quickly. So my best advice, which is principle 1 of my book, is know your strength and development areas. And like I said, if you want to know more about the book and what's in there, just hop online, bobpillai.com, and you can get a copy.
Wonderful, Bob. Thank you so much for sharing those wonderful words of wisdom with us, your journey, your travel. Once again, great to have you back in the studio. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity, Charmaine.